With this session. The next session is Enable Social Innovation. We are going to present the next video, why Unike translator to promote ethnotourism using deep learning approaches. The authors of these articles are Rafael Negrete, Ixen Galpin, Olmer García Bedoya.
Promote ethnotourism using deep learning approaches from Faculty of Natural Science and Engineering from University of Bogota, Jorge Tadeo Lozano. The Guayús, they are the largest population of indigenous people in Colombia. They live in the north of Colombia and they are approximately 270,000 people according to a survey from the Department of Statistics in Colombia. This statistic is a little old, about 15 years old. La Guajira is big on tourism. They receive the kind of tourism we know. Popular cities are famous, like Miami and Cartagena. Now this tourism is a little more specialized about the culture and the places, and they are not for the massive arrive people. Language in this kind of tourism is very important. Is a factor that makes this kind of tourism interesting. Knowing about the culture of the ancient people that live in this place. There are some projects that try to fill the gap that is on the language from the visitors and the indigenous people that live there. This project, Iguana, was a mobile application developed by a student of the University of La Guajira. It was a dictionary that translates between Spanish and Guayunaiki and vice versa. There are several projects that try to fill this gap with AI, kind of robot line application, but there is a but, and these projects are a little forget. They are not being maintained. So this is one of the points that this present project try to fill, is that any artifact that was developed in the making of this project is being open source and available online. How we articulate this project? Well, using the methodology of CRISP-TM. This is a well-known methodology for data mining projects and is divided on steps. So we can follow these steps until the end to have a very organized framework of work. The first step was business understanding, and the business here is the tourist potential of La Guajira, and this tourist potential is in the ethnotourism because of the culture of the Guayú. They are an ancient indigenous people and the biggest one in Colombia. But there is this gap, and it's the language, the barrier language. So someone from the United States could have a better experience, a better tourist experience, if they can understand something of the language and they can get in touch with the culture. Also, we have the post-pandemic effect. There are some trends about the tourist destination post-pandemic and about the tourism that is specialized and about crowds, and this is the kind of tourism that is offered in the Guajira. Small people, big experience. What can we do? A translation tool to lower this language barrier. The second step was the source of information. We need several sources of information to gather a corpus, a body of sentences that can allow us to build a model for the translation system. So this source of information were manual translation. Another sources were some manual of Guayunaiki from the Jose Alvarez doctor, the Little Prince, It was a translation to Wayunaiki of this book, founded by the foundation of Jean Marc. The Ministry of Education in Colombia also launched an illustrator magazine, Spanish and Wayunaiki, and we use this as a corpus. And another big one was the Bible. The New Testament is also translated to the Wayunaiki, and we use these sources to make our corpus. After that, the data preparation phases, we have to do some data cleaning because there were special characters that we decided to homologate, accents. For example, question mark, we removed all these special characters and we filter the sentences that have more than 15 words because we didn't have a machine that could process larger sentences. I mean, we will spend a lot of money for computer cloud. Also, we do some transformation, and Wayunaiki have these 6 vowels. The 6th vowel is the U, more or less. That is the sound. Tokenization and split the data for training and testing purposes. And in total, we have a corpus of 40,797 sentences. Well, then build a model. Which model of machine learning we can use to do the translation? Well, there is the RNN, recurrent neural network. They are very documented and easy to build. We did that one, and there is also recurrent neural network with attention that is close to the state of the art in translation models. So we have to do this one also. And with attention is based on the memory or the retention of the more important weights, the input node. So though it was not the state of the art in translation, it was closest. So we did that experiment also. When at the moment of evaluate these results, we got this metric blue one or 0.34, and also we did some experiment with the native speakers, the ones that help with the translation, with the manual translation. We did a survey, so every one of them answered some question about how close some translation that they didn't translate that this survey. The question of the survey wasn't in the feed of the model. This is news data, and in general, they say the meaning of the translation was close. No, the meaning were not exact, the same meaning that they would like it to be, but it was close the meaning of the sentences. So we took the best model that worked. It was obviously no big surprise. It was the recurrent neural network with attention were very superior to the recurrent neural network simple model. That was the result of the survey we did with the indigenous people. And we deploy on the web and GitHub pages a front end that can allow us to query it and to do some tests of the language. And the inference model is deployed on Heroku. I mean, the backend of the application. What is next? Hugging Face. This is the project where there are the state of the art in deep learning related to text translation, for example, and we did a test and evaluation with our corpus using H5, a pre-trained model that is hosted on Hugging Face. And it is also deployed and can be tested for anyone who has the interest to play with this. What were our conclusions? Well, the generated corpus, the source code, the application, the code, the models, all are under open source license. So anyone can take it and make some improvement if they can't. It's all online. The preliminary results were satisfactory. The indigenous people that test the application, they like it. Obviously, it needs work. It needs a lot of work. It needs more sentences. As the corpus increase, the quality of the translation improve, but also we need to filter sentences. Not all that we got is a perfect translation. It needs some fixes, some work on the quality of the corpus also. And the results of this work had the potential to promote the ethnotourism in La Guajira. Yeah, as tourists started using the application in La Guajira, it can have that potential. That is what we conclude. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue with the next exposition. The next exposition is rating the acquisition of pre-writing skills in children, an analysis based on computer vision and data mining techniques in the Ecuadorian context. Let's welcome to Mr. Adolfo Jara Gavilanes, Romela Aviles Faicán, Vladimir Robles Vivac, y Luis Serpa Andrade.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Adolfo Jara Gavilanes, and I'm gonna present the following paper, Rating the Acquisition of Pre-Writing Skills in Children, an analysis based on computer vision and data mining techniques in the Ecuadorian context. To start this presentation, we're gonna describe what are pre-writing skills. First, we got the most basic one, which is holding and using a pen. This is the capability of a child of holding a pen in his fingers. Then we got the next one, which is draw, copy, and color basic strokes. This is not only the ability of using a pen, this is also some visual skills, because if you present a figure to a child, the child should be able to reproduce this image. And these skills are related with the following two, which are taking a line and pattern and taking shapes. This means that if a child is presented a figure with a line pretty strong, the child should be able to reproduce that line too. Once the pre-writing skills were determined, now we're going to talk about the negative effects that the lack of these skills can carry through your life. Now we can start with bullying. As we may know, many children suffer from bullying, but the lack of pre-writing skills is a big issue in this case because many children will bully the child who has really bad typography or calligraphy. And this can cause a lower self-esteem. Why it is? Because the child will start thinking that he's not good enough and he will start comparing with the rest of the class. And this can lead with academic failure. And nobody wants this because academic failure can end with really, really bad. Now, the goal of this paper is to create a system to predict the lack of pre-writing skills in children. This is basically in the Ecuadorian context. So we're going to describe the Ecuadorian context now. Teacher assesses around 30 students. Sometimes it's even more, so it's quite a big number. So the teacher doesn't have the amount of time to check if the child or his students are developing these skills. So this is a big issue. Therefore, the teachers need some technological tools to be able to detect the lack of these skills. So to reach the goal, we use the following data set, which is called UPS Writing Skills. It contains 358 images, and as we can see, 114 are circles, 115 triangles, and 129 are squares. All of these are images representing the shapes. So then we created a grading system. Now we're going to describe this grading system. It's also worth mentioning that this grading system was created with professionals in the area of education. So, as we can see, this image represents a score of 0, which means the skill is not reached. Why a score of 0? Because the figure is not closed and it's not predominantly circular. As we can see, one side of the circle is pretty straight. Then, we have this image, which was assigned a score of 1. This means that the skill is under development. Why it got a 1? If it's predominantly circular, because the figure is not closed. And it's really important to have the figure closed. Then we got a perfect score of 2, which means the skill has been achieved. And this means that the figure is closed and it's predominantly circular. So based on this score system, the teacher will be able to give different therapy to the child. Now we're going to describe the methodology of this paper, and we have mainly 2 sections of the methodology, which is image preprocessing, and then we got the classifier. So first, for image preprocessing, we have 5 steps. The first step, we apply a median filter to reduce the noise from the images. And then we got a color space inversion to HSV, which means hue, saturation, and value. And as we can see in the image in my right, that's the input, and the output of this step is the other one, which is kind of red. Then the step 2 means an empty border is placed. This with the goal to make the image even bigger, so it's much easier to get the first pixel of the shape. Then we got the step 3, which is image binarization. In this case, we can see the final output of this process, of this step, and we can see the image is in black and white, which means 0 will be a black and 1 will be white. So it's much easier to read the first pixel of the image. Then in step 4, we apply a fill function method to see which figures are open and which ones are closed. As we can see, the image in the right is completely black because it was open, but the opposite happened in the other shape. As we can see, inside is the triangle with white. And then we extract the hue moments from the binary image. This means that we are extracting the characteristics that describe the objects in an image. so we can feed them the classifiers. It's worth mentioning that hue moments have 7 features. Then in step 5, in the final step, we extract the shape signature from the binary image, which means that these are other describers from apart from hue moments, and therefore we're gonna compare both extractors of images. So this will be the final output of the image pre-processing step. As we can see from this image, we will get the 7 hue moments, then the C, which represents the figure, which is circle in this case, and this score, you got a 0. And same with shape signature, but in this case, we got 12 features. Then the following step was to feed this information to the classifiers, and we apply the following for naive Bayes, which is a statistical model, then apply the following 3 ensemble methods, which is random forest, which is a bugging technique, and then Adabos cross-validation, which is our bugging techniques. After we apply the classifiers, we got the following results. As we can see, for figure prediction, that was the best one, with 96.22% of accuracy. And for evaluation prediction was random forest with 88.23%. It's worth pointing out in this case that shape signature yielded the best results once feeding the classifiers. Therefore, all these results are based on shape signature. Finally, we apply a multidimensional scaling technique just to show how the images were distributed. So we can see in the hue moments, many points are overlapping each other. So square, triangle, and circle are really close. But in the shape signature, we can see that the triangles are really apart from the squares and circles, but still there are some data points that are overlapping each other. Therefore, in this image, we can see why shape signature yielded better results than hue moments. In conclusion of this paper, we can say that we achieved the goal by first, getting a good accuracy for figure prediction. In this case, Adabos was the winner with 96.22% of accuracy. And then by the second goal, which was evaluation prediction, which reached an 88.23% of accuracy with random forest. It's also worth mentioning out that shape signature is a better feature structure than hue moments in this case. Therefore, all the results are based with shape signature. Also, in this work, there was a big limitation, which was the size of the data set. It was way too small, even though we got great accuracy results, but still we could have better results if the data set will be bigger. Therefore, for future work, we will recommend and encourage you to apply some data augmentation techniques so you can get a bigger data set, and therefore you will get better results. Also, for future work, we will encourage you to use other feature structures to compare with shape signature and hue moments also. And finally, to apply other classifiers like XGBoost or different artificial neural networks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your exposition. Is there any question, please? Okay, any question? I have one question. Maybe, what was the most difficult to obtain the data mined in your work?
How to obtain?
Yes. What was the most difficult?
Like the challenge of it? I will say the most difficult. The most difficult was applying the field function, actually, because once you apply the field function, you will get many images in black because they were open shapes. And that was difficult to feed the classifiers because they will get also the same features as I just showed you. They will get the same numerical values. So it's like, how will you divide the ones that have a score of 1 and the ones that have a score of 0? And therefore, the field function, it was really useful to know which ones were open. So we can divide in 2 groups, the ones that had a perfect score and the ones that had not a perfect score.
Okay, Okay. Okay. Let's applaud for our speaker. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Is there any question of the people that are connected in Zoom? Okay. Okay. Let's continue with the next exposition. The next article is Study techniques procedure to promote the comprehension of text in university students. The author of these articles are Elian Lorena Perez Montero, Yolanda Diaz Rosero. Is it here? We have a video? ¿Tenemos un video? Esta tercera exposición, ¿tenemos un video?
Who show the results.
Okay, let's see the next article, Study Techniques Procedure to Promote the Comprehension of Text University Students.
Results of the research called Study Techniques, a procedure to promote text comprehension in university students. Welcome. This research concerns the students' problems on reading analysis and comprehension, which adversely affect the learning required to study the students' different careers. To carry out this research, 4 Colombian universities, that is Coahuila, Surcolombiana University, Francisco José de Caldas, Distrital University, and Escuela de Administración de Negocios EAN University were considered to evaluate the use of the study techniques. It was found that techniques such as underlining, summary, and main idea ranged between 50 and 66% as don't use it, which represented a high value. Then techniques such as note-taking and schemes ranged between 35 and 57% as don't use it, which represented mid-high values. Finally, the technique with the least don't use it percentage was test preparation from EAN University, only 7%. Coahuila showed 14%, Francisco José de Caldas Distrital University 16%, and Surcolombiana University 46%. Why is it necessary to strengthen the study techniques in engineering students? Firstly, every university academic practice is linked to comprehension and text reading and writing. These techniques help to improve reading and writing skills, which work as mediators for thought generation. Secondly, these skills are needed for understanding the dynamism, multimodality, that is text, image, and sound, speed, hyperlink, and confluence of new discursive genres. Then, this research was aimed at evaluating the degree of appropriation of study techniques to strengthen text comprehension in the Corporación Universitaria del Huila students through the use of learning guides on underlining, summary, and main idea. What does a study technique mean? According to Ruiz, 2015, A study technique concerns resources and procedures that allow a student to improve their learning and academic performance. This research was of a descriptive quantity type. The variables were framed into the study techniques and text global comprehension with a 235 student sample. All the students were registered for the second academic term of 2021 and belonged to 4 different groups and careers at Coahuila: oral and written communication, expression and communication, research methodology, and project formulation and evaluation. An initial diagnosis test on text global comprehension and Vicuña's adaptation of study habits inventory, such as underlining, main idea, and summary, were used as data collection instruments. Then, a final diagnosis test was applied to analyze whether there was a real gain resulting from the use of the study techniques after the pedagogical implementation. Finally, an open question survey was carried out to self-evaluate the level of learning developed. Also, a 4-phase study was implemented, including diagnosis, guides designed with pedagogical elements, implementation, and evaluation. There is an initial diagnosis test as a result of this research. On the left, there is a frequency graphic described by a normal distribution with a mean of 2.5. On the right, there is a box plot showing that the students of the 4 groups have the same difficulties when working with text global comprehension with means of 2.5 to 2.6. Next, Vicuña's questionnaire is presented, which was used to evaluate the use of the study techniques such as underlining, main idea, and summary, showing means between 2.0 and 2.9. The graphic on the left shows a normal distribution with a mean of 3.597 in the final diagnosis activity. On the right, a box plot for each group is shown, with the results of the mean regarding the text global comprehension after the guide implementation phase. A significant presence of means regarding the initial diagnosis test is notorious. For example, the oral and written communication group showed an increase in the text global comprehension from 2.6 to 3.7. The expression and communication group reached a higher increase from 2.5 to 4.1. The research methodology group improved from 2.5 to 3.4. And finally, the project formulation and evaluation group went from a mean of 2.5 to a mean of 3.2. This research allowed to show the awareness of the pedagogical relevance of text global comprehension. In addition, it indicates that the alternative hypothesis is accepted since there is a significant progress between the use of the techniques such as underlining, main idea, and summary. Regarding text comprehension, not only was the importance of career-related text recognized, but also that of real-life problem understanding.
Okay, thank you for this video. We have, I think, questions. If we have questions, maybe is Eileen, Lorena, and Yolanda Diaz connected for the questions, please? Are you connected? I think there is no. Yes. Again, is Elian, Lorena Perez, and Yolanda Diaz connected here? Okay. Yes. Okay. Eileen, Lorena, thank you for being here. Do we have any question here? Yes. Yes, we have one question. Elian, Lorena, please listen.
I may have missed it in your presentation, but have you done any practical application or practical study of your results to see if students have made improvements by learning these techniques? My question is basically, have you taken your results and done any practical application with students to see if their grades have actually improved based on what you've learned from their study skills and their preparation skills?
Hello, Mr. This is Julian Rodriguez. I'm going to be their translator, okay? Aileen. Aileen Lorena.
Eileen, please. Eileen, Lorena, please, can you activate your microphone? Eileen, are you there? Can you activate your microphone, please? Eileen, ¿puedes activar tu micro? Si necesitas traducción, nos avisas para responder la pregunta. No, parece que no está. No responde. We have TPAC and Tundu Digital Storytelling Tool Transform Teaching and Learning. The author of this article is Serafin Triantafoilu. Okay, we have a video. Maybe is here Serafin. Yes, Serafin, are you here? Okay. Activa el micro. Yes, you can talk, Serafin.
Hello, I'm Serafim Triantafylou. I'm here to present my article. In case I have sent a video, if is it okay, the pre-recorded presentation can be played.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Let me share my screen.
Okay, you can share, Serafin, your video.
Okay. I cannot share my screen. I tried to share my screen that it does not allow the system. In case I have sent the link, if the moderator can help me, the link of the video, can I write it on the chat?
Yeah, it's activate now. You can share. Please try.
Let me try again. Can you see my screen for the presentation?
Yes. Go, please.
Okay.
Serafin, don't worry. We can translate what you are talking about. Okay? You can continue your exposition. Please, can you speak slowly okay?
Excuse me, it is a pre-recorded presentation. I have also have the video of the presentation in YouTube. Can I play the presentation?
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay. students to achieve their learning goals and to construct their knowledge based on their previous knowledge and learning experiences. This study explores the technological pedagogical content knowledge framework and Tundu with basic aim to enhance collaboration among students and help them to understand complex concepts. The creation of an effective learning environment where teachers have the important role of designing, training, coordinating, and monitoring the learning process is a continuous effort that depends on teachers' will to run technology-enhanced learning environments. Tundu and other similar edtech tools can bring the desirable learning outcomes and lead to achievement of learning goals of the computer science course because they emphasize on how technology can best be used to support teaching and learning. The rapid development of information communication technology in teaching and education has led many researchers and teachers to seriously consider adopting new pedagogical approaches and not just to rest in traditional teacher-centered methods. Many teachers argue that learning requires the introduction of a new form of pedagogical approach structured in the relationship developed between teachers and students. Traditional teacher-centered methods, where the teacher plans, designs, teaches, and evaluates his or her teaching, often make students passive recipients who receive accumulated knowledge and are not incentivized to develop advanced creative thinking. Each student carries his or her own learning experiences that a teacher who wants to achieve in his or her didactic work must take them seriously into account to help students develop critical thinking and ensure success in their effort to learn how to learn. The rapid development of advanced creative thinking is the result of acquisition of collaborative knowledge. Collaborative knowledge is not a stagnant process, but an evolving process of collecting new ideas and information to construct new knowledge. Teachers should try to incentivize students to think about new concepts and share new ideas, because new knowledge is built only when teachers take seriously into account students' prior learning experiences to help them go to the next step and develop critical thinking. Creating an interactive learning environment that can bring the desirable learning outcomes is not an easy task. Web 2 technologies in education can help students to express new ideas and actively participate in the learning process by adding digital content. Therefore, students are transformed from passive receivers into planners of their own knowledge. Today, teachers with the proper use of Internet and Web 2 technologies can create a powerful learning environment for research and problem analysis, thereby facilitating better access to information and collaborative learning. The rapid development of Punia Mistra and Matthew G. Kohler's TPAC framework, LUKC Figure 1, which focuses on technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge, offers a new approach that can help teachers to enrich their teaching by using edtech tools. According to the TPAC framework, specific technological tools are best used to give students a better understanding of the subject they study. The three types of knowledge, technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge, are thus combined in various ways within the TPAC framework. Technological pedagogical knowledge describes relationships and interactions between technological tools and specific pedagogical practices, while pedagogical content knowledge describes relationships and interactions between pedagogical practices and specific learning goals. Finally, technological content knowledge describes relationships and intersections among technologies and learning tools. Pedagogical knowledge describes teachers' knowledge about pedagogical practices and teaching methods. Here we can see figure a representation of the technological pedagogical content knowledge framework. Pedagogical knowledge focuses on the purposes, values, and aims of education and may apply to specific domain areas, including the understanding of student learning styles, classroom management skills, lesson planning, and assessments. Technological knowledge describes teachers' knowledge to use technological tools and associated resources. Technological knowledge concerns understanding educational technology, considering its possibilities for a specific domain area, learning to identify when it will help learning, and continually learning and adapting to new technological advances. Dewey, Piaget, Vygotsky, and Brunner suggested that students could be active receivers of knowledge and construct the new forms of knowledge they take on earlier forms of knowledge. Skilled teachers use their knowledge of pedagogy, content, and technology to successfully pass their teaching and help students develop critical thinking. Therefore, the role of the teacher should be facilitating and to help students to create their own knowledge. In other words, teachers who integrate Web 2 technologies in a meaningful way, they implement TPAC. Joe Lambert and Dana Ashley, as the co-founders of the Center for Digital Storytelling in late 1980s, are the pioneers of the digital storytelling movement. Digital storytelling can help teachers to promote innovation by introducing new pedagogical tools in classroom, Specific researchers investigated how digital stories can be transformed into a pedagogical tool into undergraduate psychology classes. The findings show that edX tools such as the wikis and the digital stories constitute the basis for constructing new knowledge in classroom. Cartoons can be an effective web to technological tool for students to understand the teaching material of the course. Using concept cartoons in teaching helps students express their opinions and develop their questioning skills by learning to investigate and question their knowledge during the learning process. Tundu is a characteristic example of website for cartoon animation creation. Other similar websites are GoAnimate and FileGuru. Emphasis is given on Tundu because it was used systematically during the learning process to enhance students' creativity and motivation. Tundu is a digital storytelling tool and specifically a browser-based application that provides tools to draw, create, and paint cartoons through the internet. Students can create their digital stories by using Tundu environment. Tundu is a great tool to identify student understanding of digital storytelling as it allows them to easily design projects and create cartoons by dragging pre-installed background text boxes and digital characters into the cartoon panels selected by them. Comics are now used in the learning process and students can be taught how to develop digital stories by developing their story writing skills and achieving learning objectives. Students within minutes can create comic strips or cartoons and they can download them, share via email or embed them to a blog or a website. This study aims to investigate students' learning outcomes after incorporating edX tool in computer science courses. Our research methodology was based on the following basic research questions. The first research question is to what extent can students participate in specific learning activities with digital storytelling, and the second research question is what is the student's learning achievement by using Tundu in a technology-enhanced learning environment. Our research methodology is based on a review of previous works, and the following basic steps show our basic research plan as we can see in figure 3. In step 1, initial search bibliographic databases, the basic aim of our research methodology was at first to direct our research to find relevant studies about digital storytelling and the use of Tundu edX tool in courses. To find more publications of high scientific rigor, a detailed and focused search process was run in relevant bibliographic databases such as Scopus database, Spiegel Link and Science Direct, Elsevier. In step 2, that is the process of defining selection criteria. To select our papers, we define the following criteria. Peer-reviewed full-text papers published in an international venue were selected for review. Research methods in the papers are clearly explained, and in figure 3 we can see in detail the steps of our methodology. The selected studies, the selected papers, the number of selected papers is presented in table 1. We basically aim to examine cartoon and animation creation in edX tools. Tundu, GoAnimate and FileGuru were examined. With the use of a spreadsheet, comparative analysis was conducted for the 3 edX tools across 6 basic aspects concerning students' learning progress, knowledge of use of the edX tools, teamwork, accomplishment of learning goals, creativity, motivation, and engagement. Within each of 6 aspects, specific points were awarded. The points 0.0 result, the points were 0.0 result, the value 0, 1 point a weak result, 2 points an average result, 3 points good result, 4 points very good result, 5 points excellent result. The plot of the final results is presented in the following graph as we can see in figure 4. The ultimate aim of this study was to investigate the learning outcomes after the integration of Tundu in the learning process. One of the Web 2 tools that have been proposed as an important teaching strategy was Tundu. This study goes a step further to examine how Tundu, which is generally defined as a method of storytelling through multimedia, can increase student motivation and engagement when participating on a computer science course. In a computer science course, learning tasks were organized with digital storytelling in a way to teach and promote creativity in students, which is necessary when students try to understand the practical implications of algorithms in computer science. A constructivist approach was adopted in teaching, and the teacher acted as the facilitator in the overall learning process to support students to build new knowledge. Tundu interface was explained to students in order to understand the selected edX tool used during the learning activities of the course. Tundu interface contains 3 basic parts that are Doodlear, Imaginar, and TradeR. Screenshots of these parts are presented in the following figures 5, 6, and 7, as we can see here. In addition to these 3 basic parts, There are also features to add, delete, rotate, save, and resize the digital objects and characters, and we can see figure 8. The final part of the Tundu interface is the inventory, which contains any created, used, or saved objects and characters. The methodology used to conduct our survey to answer the basic research question 1 and 2 of this study was the construction of a questionnaire given to adult learners to answer it. The completion of the questionnaire was optional and anonymous. The type of questions were finally chose to include in the questionnaire was the structured questions, in particular rating scales. It is about questions with a rating scale in their answers. Specifically, queries were selected on a Likert scale of 5 levels from 1 not at all to 5 very much. The final questionnaire sent a response contained Likert type questions related to digital storytelling and the use of Tundu in technology-enhanced environments. The design of the questionnaire was done using Google Docs software. The collection of responses finally resulted within 2 months, September 2019 to November 2019, after sending the online questionnaire to a sample of 100 students. In order for the specific sample to be representative, it was chosen at random by random sampling. With regard to the gender of the respondents, in the male population, 48 men corresponds to 48%, while the female population, 52 women, is 52%. So we can see figure 9. The pie chart for the age groups in the sample shows that 48% of the respondents are the age group 18 to 24, and in the age group of 25 years and over, it is 52% of the respondents, and we can see figure 10. For the statistical processing of the results, the statistical package that was selected was SPSS Statistic 20. Statistical packages for social sciences. Below is presented in detail the content of the 2 research questions to allow them to be entered into the SPSS database. And here we see some first results and some remarks for the first research question. The response of the sample regarding the extent of student participation in specific learning activities with digital storytelling show that they use them enough. Learners seem to be using a lot the digital storytelling strategy. Most learners chose a lot in the use of the digital storytelling strategy. The response of the sample is from the average of 0.83 approximately standard deviation value. The sign of skewness is negative. The distribution of responses to the right that has its tail on the left. The distribution of responses show that learners use enough the digital storytelling strategy. The standard skewness error amounts to 24.1%. Kurtosis has a negative sign which makes the distribution platicide with concentration of answers around the mean of enough. The typical kurtosis error is 47.8%. The answers cover the whole range from 1 to 5, therefore the range remains 3. Percentiles tell us that 25% of respondents say they use enough the digital storytelling strategy, 50% of respondents say they use a lot the digital storytelling strategy, and 75% of respondents say they use a lot the digital storytelling strategy. For the second research question, the responses of the sample regard students' learning achievement by using Tundu in a technology-enhanced learning environment show that they achieve a lot the learning goals. Learners seem to be using a lot the Tundu to achieve learning goals. Most learners chose very much in the use of the Tundu to achieve learning goals. The response of the sample is from the average of 0.86 approximately the standard deviation value. The sign of skewness is negative. The distribution of responses to the right has its tail on the left. The distribution of responses shows that the learners use a lot the Tundu to achieve learning goals. The standard skewness error amounts to 24.1%. Kurtosis has a negative sign which makes the distribution platicide with concentration of answers around the mean of a lot. The typical kurtosis error is 47.8%. The answer covers the whole range from 1 to 5, therefore the range remains 2. Percentiles tell us that 25% of respondents say they use enough the Tundu to achieve the learning goals, 50% of respondents say they use a lot the Tundu to achieve learning goals, and 75% of respondents say they use very much the Tundu to achieve learning goals. As we can see here in the histogram in table 3. Some conclusions. The main reasons for students to participate in computer science course are motivation for learning. Inspired teachers are those who support students to take control of their learning and build new knowledge according to the previous knowledge and learning experiences. Pedagogical technological approaches based on the basic guidelines of the TPAC framework can promote learning and innovation in teaching. EdTech tools like Tundu, when properly implemented, can promote digital storytelling strategies in learning and enhance students' motivation for learning. A combination of traditional teaching methods and technology-driven approaches seem as the best option to help students develop critical thinking and build new knowledge. The bibliographic references that our work was based are the following. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Serafin. Okay, is there any question now? Yes? No? You don't have question? Okay, don't worry. Okay, I have a question, Serafin. Are you there, please? Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, Serafin, what is next? What are you going to plan to do for the future to improve the learning of the children? What is next? Don't forget to activate your microphone, please, Serafin. Yes, yeah, you can activate now, please.
Hello, I couldn't activate the microphone because the host did not give me the privilege before. My plan for future research is to incorporate the philosophical theory of constructivism and to combine this philosophical theory more with the TPAC framework, because they can be used together in order to embody technology in every kind of subject that students need to study, not only in computer science. Every subject in a technology has environment with the right guidelines of the TPAC, and according to the constructivist philosophical theory that is specially used in classrooms with mature students, we must say, that have the ability to self-regulate their learning, can have best results for the learners. Learners learn to be autonomous in their learning and to use technology in order to support the learning process and better achieve their learning goals.
Okay, thank you very much, Serafin. Thanks to all our speakers.
Thank you also.
If you have anything else to say, Serafin, or that's all? Yes?
No, I'm okay. If there is another question, I will be glad to answer it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Serafin. Okay,
Thank
you
you
to
also.
all our speakers. We will continue next the next session. Yes? Thank you very much.